Alright, so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to remake all this bullshit real quick. So let me just do that quick. Let's get back to where we were. Alright, so this will be calm, shore, edge, color. Yeah, and I usually save all this stuff, and like we did save some things, but Unreal doesn't like always save everything that you're working on. It saves like some of the files that it's like a context-based save, so it's kind of annoying. You think some of this would be a little bit more helpful. Alright, so that looks proper. Alright, so we're going to get this texture coordinate. We're going to do a multiply by a constant, which is going to be the shore edge noise speed. Calm shore edge noise speed. That, I believe, was a very small value. And we're doing, what, break float 2. Alright, so then we have texture coordinate. It's not noise speed here. For this is something else. This is noise size. And this is the noise speed. So we multiply these together. Snag that, and we have these two adds. So make our two float 2s. And this would be just like a gigantic pain in the ass if I didn't record what the hell I was doing, because this is one of the problems with blueprints I see is there's no like text recording of stuff, and usually you've got like editors open and crap like that, so that if you crash, it's like, well, the code's still there, you know, it's like just recompile it, you know. But with blueprints and the rest there, you can lose your work pretty damned easily. Alright, so this one was like so. So this is the y coordinate here, this is the x coordinate here, and this is the x coordinate here. And we were grabbing this texture. We're then adding them together, and then multiplying. We then had another multiply node. with a constant coming off of it. Then we had an add. Alright, let's see, this was calm shore noise opacity. Let's set it to 1. Alright, so I think that was the effect. I think we made these things smaller. Yeah, so it was like that. Alright, we're going to make this constant parameter for the size of the calm shore. This is calm water texture size. So I need to look through and see what I got going on for the rest of this. Alright, so the next thing I needed to do was implement the roughness stuff that I had over here. What the hell is this? Alright, so I think we took this value over here. Took the vector length of it. Alright, so we did a constant which we called roughness max. So I think what we set this to 0, roughness max we set to like 2.5. We did a subtract. We did a multiply. We did an add. So we'll do a reroute here. And this should be 0.25. That should be back to looking like what we had. I think we'd actually upped some of this a bit for the opacity because we couldn't see it in the game. I don't like that. And I think that's what we had going on for this thing. Let's make sure to save everything. Let's see, did I miss anything else? Yeah, I guess the water surface color is what I missed. Yeah, I think that's where we were with this thing. Alright, so we've got all that saved. Let's run through any more of this. Let's make sure we actually got the material set its default lit and opaque and everything. Alright, and then we're just screwing around with that stuff. Alright, cool. Well, there we go. We went back to our visual records and fixed the things that we had screwed up with our crash. Alright, so how much of this noise generator got screwed to hell? Alright, so this is supposed to be unlit. Let's see, what I wanted to do was set this to a plain primitive so I could actually see it. Alright, so theoretically, we can do these things. Alright, so back to where we were. Yeah. I don't understand why this alpha value is getting screwed up with our texture. Did we do something about that? Like, I mean, it's not HDR, it's none of this stuff, auto-generate MIPS. Let's just hit save on this thing then. Alright, so we need a noise generator actually in the world. So we can do generate. And I still don't get it. Like, we are setting in our material, we're setting that alpha to a goddamned 1. Why is this value? Maybe because the material itself is opaque, so it's not writing to it. Yeah, there's nothing in here. It's just a fucking 0 for the alpha for some reason. I do not understand. I do not understand this. I mean, the texture is there. That is true. But Well, why don't I just Google it real quick? Render target texture has 0 alpha. Unreal. So supposedly, make your material unlit, set blend mode to alpha composite. Route RGB to emissive, route inverse of our alpha to opacity color. So route a -1 to it. And it's just shit. It just doesn't work. Alright, great. Alright. Nah, it doesn't work either. Clear render target to 0001. Make your material unlit. So if we've got our render target as a way to clear it, clear render target 2D, clear color, we want to make a linear color 0001. Oh, it doesn't work either. Okay, so that worked. I had to set it to -1. Now are these texture compression artifacts? This to compression, let's set it to RGB 8. And we generate, and we're getting a whole bunch of streaks and stuff like that on our texture. Just not what I would expect. Well, let's just create a constant color here that's like turquoise and throw it on here. So our render target does look like that. This noise stuff it's breaking down somehow? Why are we getting all this trash in here? Maybe the texture's not big enough? So why in the hell are there streaks in this thing? Does it have to do with the actual noise? Like, supposedly, we should be good to go. There must be something in here that we're not. That I'm not getting. Okay, so now our render target has it's like we've got trash going on here for this thing. Like there's some sort of degenerate case with our UVs or something. There's just something that's going on here that's causing these white pixels to come out. Is there some sort of lighting or something else that's going on here? Oh, we still got all this trash in here. Let's just make sure that we got everything set up. This seems really silly. Maybe it has something to do with the noise itself. Oh, it's this sort of crap. It's this sort of crap that I don't like. Where it's correct, but they gave you a feature that's halfway frickin' broken. How goddamn annoying. Alright, so we should be able to get more data out of this then. Alright, that should be possible. So let's save everything, as we all should. Is there a hotkey for saving everything? Control Shift S. Let's see if it actually works. Looks like it does. Alright, I'll start using that from now on. Alright, so we've got our bake and we create our static textures, so now we can create basic noise as we need to. Alright, so supposedly we can take what normal from height map is a thing we can do. So I need a new render target. Let's call this noise normal render target. Alright, so for our noise thing, we'll have another render target. This will be noise render target. I mean, normal render target. Alright, so we've got that. Clean them both off. So we got that rendered. Let's render both of them. Alright, so we need to draw to the other render target texture, other render target, and I think we're gonna have the same material draw both, but have like some sort of thing on there. So this material instance will duplicate, we'll have normal material instance, and we'll create it inside of our construction script, and we'll make another one. It sounds like there's a bunch of fireworks going on outside. Because there are a bunch of fireworks going off outside. Alright, so we've got this normal material instance. Let's make sure we use it in our generate function. Yeah, I live near or close enough to a sports stadium that I regularly get to go outside and watch fireworks. I think it's pretty much during the summer, almost like every Friday or something like that. You know, and as it is Friday, it's usually Friday at 10, so that's always cool. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to have kind of a flag here for if this is the normals, then we're going to write the normals. So we want like a constant here, which is going to be normal weight, and we're going to do our noise. So 1 minus the normal weight, and that'll plug into the emissive. So inside of our construction script, we are going to call set scalar parameter value. There we are. So let's get these set up. This is going to be the normal weight, and this will be the scalar parameter value on this guy. Alright, so we should have these things rendered, and we're supposed to do normal from height map. And we actually want to take this noise render target and see if we can slot that in there. we can. So we can take this noise render target as a texture object, and we can do normal from height map, which will take this guy. Then we want like an intensity, and I'm just going to take what they've got already. And then they've got an offset, which is, they've got in their article, they're using an offset. This is going to be the intensity. This will be offset. And this one was small. It was 0.002. That's what they had. So I'll multiply and add these things in here. Alright, so if we hit generate, and that's the normal of there. So if we hit generate again, it's again nothing. Well, we'll create our static texture here, and we'll see if we can slot that static texture into our object. Because what's happening is, I guess we're clearing our render target, and in the render pass it's queuing up both of these instead of queuing up one after the other. So we'd want to like, it's kind of stupid, especially since it's in the editor. So this texture object, I'm gonna mess with this a little bit. So here's the normal map that we get generated with, which is actually pretty cool. I like it. That's what we're looking for. I was like, this texture is not tiling. So now we should be able to do that. Well, I guess we'll have two different functions here. We'll have generate. Come on, I hit F2. Generate texture and generate normals. So generate normals. Wait, no, we're drawing them in the wrong order, it looks like, perhaps. Alright, well, we'll save this real quick and change our generate texture, because we're doing draw for the normal render target in the wrong order. So let's do it. See if it actually works, or if it fails. Of course, my material is not using the right texture anymore. And it is cleared to black, as it is not doing anything. Well, now I'm not getting anything. What? Now it works? Alright, what did I just do? So it looks like if I use the noise render target texture as an input texture object to the other thing, it gets cleared. Otherwise it doesn't. Oh man, this is weird. Alright, so I guess we should keep these things separate. Well, I guess I'll just have two buttons because we don't have any tick in the editor unless I go add something. Alright, so in the material, I want this render target to be set. So generate texture, it's generating black, it's not generating anything. Yeah, so if we use the texture object itself, I guess, or sampling it inside of our material, then this thing like freaks out. Are we getting any weird output logs or anything? No. Well, I guess what I'll have to add is a texture here, which will be our output texture, and then the output normal texture. I guess it's a texture 2D. So let's see, is there any sort of like render to, or like export render target? Exports render target as HDR image onto disk. Texture render target file path. Create static texture. Creates a static texture. So let's see if there's a create static texture from render target in Blueprint. Yeah, they don't have anything here that actually works. Like, you have to manually snag these things. There's no like right to texture. Oh, that's so dumb. I mean, it's a pretty funny, it's a pretty simple idea. Like, I want to update a texture that exists in the asset database with what I just rendered and with the render target. So like, you know how how simple is this? Is there like a texture capture or something else? There's like render targets. I mean, it's like scene capture 2D, but that's not what we want. Like, we want a texture. We just want to write. We want to write the contents of a render target to a texture. It's a very simple concept. How to render the texture. It's like draw a render target to a texture. I don't want to have to right click on something and then like it's gonna, you know, create a static texture. Be like, no, I want to update a specific texture